is a video series about people who are fearlessly fighting the language barriers for their companies and customers. Many people have gone before them over the millennia of human civilization. The stories are sometimes heroic, but oftentimes end in lost fortunes. This time though, it's different. The technology is ready. Nobody needs to suffer from the foreign language barrier any longer. The world is becoming massively multilingual. Let's talk with the gurus who make this happen.
So then I'd like to move on to the topic of data, if that's okay with you. Yeah, good. I see the thumbs up. So at TAUS events, we always ask the MT gurus on the stage. We usually have a panel called the Quantum Leap, and we invite really the gurus of all the big tech companies, and we ask them what is more important when it comes to machine translation. Is it the data or the algorithms? And these days, especially with neural MT, the answer is almost always data. Because they say that most companies are all using the same open source algorithms. So I just want to hear your take on this for Reverie and for also Indian languages. Is it the same? Is data really the differentiator, or is it the technology?
Actually, the answer would be the same, because data is something that you do not get. And I would say that on the internet, all the languages do not have an equal share of data. And when you are looking at various different kinds of usages that people have, you do not even find all those use cases represented in different languages on the internet today. For example, if I would say that Indian languages, maybe there is a lot of newspapers that are already in Indian languages, or there are certain, Wikipedia would have certain amount of content that is converted into different languages. But if I am to look for, okay, if banking data can I find? There are none. Mm-hmm. So I would say that, these languages are so less represented that without that, in any case, you can't do. It's not the amount of data that is as critical. It's just the availability of any data at all in the first place. Yeah. Right. So we do, and I think many others also probably say the same, but they link that with the amount of data. But I think for most people, more critical is whether there is some data, that some usable data available for me to work with in the first place. Yeah. So, yeah. That is a big problem.
Yeah.
So this topic ahead, as you know that MT and data goes hand in hand. So how do you accomplish this idea of, as you said, there is less data present in Indic languages and you want to localize and use these Indic languages for the internet content. So how do you collect this data? And to support these languages, do you crawl the web, or the data which you have is all human translated? So, and what can we do to get these low resource languages data?
Yeah, so yes, actually everybody does. We also do scraping, but you know what? It's not the best way to go about. I would say that although we do a lot of scraping, but we still do it very, very selectively. We actually we select sources from where we want to scrape. Unlike English, the Indian language data on the internet is extremely noisy. And the nature of the noise is because of, poor standards on which the Indian languages are used on the computing devices today. So no one to blame. Users are using or they are having to use what is given to them to use, right? So if in English, when you are writing something, you make a spelling mistake, or you make so you do find that there are enough tools or ways in which the quality of content is pretty refined. But when it comes to Indian languages, it's not just the lack of tools, but also the degree of confusion with the standards and the tools that people are using. because of which, you tend to see a lot of content that is extremely noisy, and you cannot use standard algorithms to be able to make good use of that. So what we do is, and also apart from that, many websites have their copyrights. They actually do not want you to use their data. So we do scrape and we do collect data, but largely we also use a lot of our own energy in creating good quality data. That's super important. I know there are a lot of people who advocate for, you don't need to clean data. You can use algorithms to do that and weed out whatever are not, or erroneous or noise. But that is a thought that works for a language like English because it is a lot more refined on the internet today. Indian languages and several others, by nature of how it is, they are used on the internet and how the content are being created today, have invariably introduced the kind of noise that interferes with algorithms a lot. This understanding is not very common, but we know that very well, and therefore we have to create data a lot. So to clean data, humans are needed, but we often clean using automated tools as well. We have sort of figured out, the limitations of existing tools because of which such noise gets created. And we create tools that can detect such noise. If that is auto-correctable, we do that and therefore normalize and get clean data. But if it is not correctable, then obviously we have to reject that. But the fact is that when we ourselves try to create data, we use tools that will not let people create noisy data. Right, so that way whenever we create it, we are able to at least ascertain that part.
Great, yeah, good. So since the founding of TAUS, which was in 2005, we really have been advocating the sharing of data. And in 2008, we launched our first data cloud. It was a place where people could share their data in order to gain credits and download and other data. The current data repository includes 35 billion words in 600 plus language pairs. And now, 12 years later, TAUS is working on a data marketplace, which will have its first release in November of this year. And just very briefly, the data marketplace is a place where people can share their data in order to earn money from it. So when somebody purchases your data through the data marketplace, a commission will be paid into your account. And I can share a lot more about it, but just for this purpose, I wanted to share that the highlight. What do you think of a data marketplace? Would this be interesting also for the Indian language market? Do you think it could contribute to the bridging the gap for the scarcity of languages or language data in Indic languages?
I not only think that it is useful, I think it is critical. I think what you are doing is phenomenal. This is something that was missing for a long, long time. A data marketplace, in any case, to one extent, is also a chicken and egg because let's say 10 years ago when Reverie started, there weren't even 2 or 3 companies working in the same area. We really didn't have competition. If we were to name only Google and Microsoft, that big companies as competitors for us. But that also means that either Google or Microsoft would probably not care about a marketplace. They have enough users to collect data, and smaller companies like us do not have another one to share data with. So so I think what you are doing is going to help many companies a lot. As super critical.
If you also want to break down the language barriers for your company and your customers, you need your language data to work for you. TAUS, the Language Data Network, provides data and tools for machine learning and for business intelligence.